Aloha. Today I wanted to talk about westing or dying, dreams, and what else? Power. Yeah, power. So westing, dreams, and power, and really kind of relate it all to how this system is designed to keep you away from expanding into your power, and keep you from realizing the depths of your life, like living your life and living outside of this experience. So in the last few videos, I was referencing the disease that is the virus that is this mainstream mentality, the virus that is the Stockholm syndrome, that is based upon locking your reality into this artificial grid so that the haves can continue to have and the have-nots will continue to have not. The gap between resources and abundance on the physical scale will continue to grow, and the way it's been trending pretty much. And I've mentioned how the systems that are set up, the fiat currency system, the maritime admiralty system, the supremacy program, the university system, the heliocentric model, all these systems are designed to maintain not only the gaps in the physical reality, but also the gaps in your psychology and how you perceive yourself. How some people have this arrogance and entitlement of just being, superior to other people, that they can just say things and act a certain way, and other people will just have to accept that. Like, that's a sickness. It's a disease. I see it when I'm around, like you see it when you're working with people and they have to tell you you're already doing something, and it's the easiest thing in the world, but they have to take charge of it by saying something like, "Oh, good job. Oh yeah, go. You can go ahead and start that. Go ahead and do that." Like, I'm already doing this. Like, why do you have to get involved in something so simple, like as simple as moving one thing to another place, or turning something on? Like, it's the most simplest thing, but these people are so entitled. They have to. It's the same thing like for people who know what white-splaining is. If you don't know what white-splaining is, go look at the videos from BuzzFeed, and I think MTV did a video about it too. But that's an actual disease. It's a psychological disease that is a side effect to the supremacy program. It's like diet supremacy, diet superiority over you. And it's the remnants of this privileged environment that is continually expanded upon with your news, your mainstream media, your movies, your university systems, your everything that is mainstream, the internet, and so on and so forth. Everything that you see in your everyday reality adds to that. The mainstream media itself is white-splaining. So basically, it's like over-explaining something to, for one, like I was mentioning in the other videos, bring some people up in the authority figure to tell you something and how to do something. I'm turning on a fucking hose here. You don't need to tell me how to do this. Like, this is the most simple shit. I am aware of the same information that you are aware of in this moment. You don't have to be in charge of what we are both aware of, especially in something so simple. But This is how this program works on an individual scale, and it is silent on a massive scale or a collective scale, because if you start to disassemble that program, then you start to disassemble the power grid. You start to empower people, and you start to disempower people. This is not only for white people, so-called white people. It's normal. It's like a part of that system, that that personality trait is like in the 90th percentile of being that. But it can be for anybody. Anybody can act this out. It's because we are subjected to the way the society is functioning, or lack thereof, really just not functioning at all. It's functioning artificially, or in the synthetic version of reality. The same way the New Age community, the New Age psychology, the New Age community psychology creates this new universe that is based upon how humans should interact with each other and the extraterrestrials and so on and so forth. It's not rooted in anything that is ancestral. It's an idea of itself. So the New Age community is basically like white-splaining for the future or for a community. It's the same thing. It's like, well, we should be like this. And they never can take into account the universe itself and the lies itself, and where this program, that this whole solar system heliocentric model, it's never even taken into account, because that entire environment has been created around the illusion of being in charge. And like I said, you don't have to be a so-called white person to be in the New Age community. It's an actual vibration. It's a frame of thought. It's something that you adopt and download as your reality, and then you act that out and then pass that on down to generations, or become a teacher or a guru or whatever it is. It's something extra. It's basically like what the mainstream religions are doing, or religion itself does, to put in between you and the Most High Spirit, like between you and your family, between you and your soul connection to yourself. So all of these programs are designed to maintain a level of consciousness that is in a box, that will not allow you to expand outside of that box. And it all boils down to your inherent power, your inherent nature that is within who and what you are at the soul essence. With just waking up in the morning, you don't need all this extra stuff. You don't need extraterrestrials. You don't need technology. You don't need your bachelor's degree and your PhD. You don't need your managerial position. You don't need all this stuff. Like, what is your true power? Where are you truly living from? All of this other stuff is extra. Yes, including all of the universal perspectives from the New Age community. All that shit is extra. It's all in reference to, or in reaction to, the physical reality, the level of consciousness that we are experiencing right now in this moment. It's not inherent within the natures of who and what you are. It's something extra. So before we move into that something extra, it's like writing a book about something that's already natural. Why would you have to write a book about it? This is why the ancestors were telling stories around a fire to pass those stories down to the generations, because you inherently understand the story from understanding and perceiving your reality. So it becomes part of your reality. It's not something separate. It's not something that needs to be written down in a book or translated in any kind of way. Like, the reason why, like, we have to explain all this stuff from different perspectives, especially like a good example would be the flat earth model. You don't have to like, one of the main reasons why people talk about flat earth have to over explain stuff is because of the mind control program of the globe earth. The globe earth has it's built upon white-splaining the universe. That is exactly what's happening, and I didn't even think I was going to go into that, but that's what that is. Heliocentrism is basically white-splaining the universe to where it gets so complex that only so-called white people energetically or who adopt that reality, that Neil deGrasse Tyson, that, what was that dude's name, Brian Callen, or Joe Rogan's, or Bill Nye's, those are basically people who adopt that form of perceiving their reality and invest their entire intellect and their entire perceptions of reality are based upon what that in-between system has created for them to just regurgitate to the people who listen to them. So people who listen to them, they listen to those people, and those people listen to the artificial universe, the artificial books, the theories. So this is how truth can be created from decades and generations or steps all the way down the line that are inherently just theoretical ideas of perceiving your reality. So when you have to explain flat earth stuff, you have to really like over explain it because you're really kind of fighting or pushing through that heliocentric disease that is largely a psychological condition. So an expansion of this condition are things that get acted out in our everyday reality that can't be acted out by everybody or certain people. So like when like certain people are held down and other people are held up. So basically like what's happening to the Muslims today in the United States, that's what's been happening to the so-called black people in the United States forever. We've been cast as a particular something largely because we're the original people of this land. And once you release that information and start to empower the people, the original people of the land, then you start to disempower the people who are selling the illusions that they have power over you through downloading the condition of white-splaining things to you. So that's at the heart of that's at the essence of that whole why things are the way they are from that perspective of, well, you know, we just have to keep these people down, make sure people think that they're criminals, violent, and then that will make us the superheroes. And we can just pass legislation forever that will keep them in jail, keep them impoverished, keep them. And this goes for everybody who's impoverished. Like this is what it is today. But there is a very definite focus on the melanated peoples across the earth plane because the superiority system is based upon that whole meant to lead. Like there's an actual like phrase or saying that English people or British people have. I don't know where it came from. I heard it somewhere in like a movie. I think it was the movie A Good Year. That's what movie it was. Russell Crowe actually said it to one of his friends in that movie, and he said they were talking about British people, and they said, "Oh yeah, born to lead." Like so. Anyway, so that mentality is ingrained in their everything. And the opposite is ingrained in everybody else because of the way the society is running today. And the society is running today off of destructive fuel, the destructive intelligence fuel. It has no balances with nature. This is why it has to demonize the divine feminine. So from Rome or Greece to Rome, conquering everything and colonizing everything, this system doesn't want to explain how that reality exists, because you will cut the legs out the infrastructure of the entire system. So it avoids it and keeps you thinking about the artificial future, the false futurism of NASA, SpaceX, all of this generic version of the generic artificial version of interacting with your reality. And even beyond that, you have the New Age program, which is the artificial metaphysical, like the synthetic metaphysical version of interpreting your reality. So they're interpreting the universe from a backwards and upside down version of connection to spirit, which, how I'm seeing it with all these channelers and everything, actually creates this universe, this energy, these energies that exist somewhere. I'm really seeing that since we are anchoring in the physical dimension or the physical reality, you could say dimension two. When your power is anchored so much in an idea of how you perceive your universe, then because our soul, the intellect of the soul, is so powerful, you have this unconditional love. So just imagine unconditional love solely. There's an intelligence of unconditional love there. That unconditional love can be translated into a language. So this is how I'm seeing what channeling can be. The thing is that information is anchored in a destructive intelligence in the physical reality that is flipped upside down and backwards. So those channelers are actually channeling back something that is anchored in information, so-called unconditional love, from an anchor that is still heavily diseased and subjected to an illusion. So we have these people who channel this information that will always max out at the level of consciousness of the receivers. So the physical reality that we experience right now, everybody collectively creates the level of consciousness of the receiver of that information. So when people are channeling, this is why channels can't talk about certain things. They can't go so far because they are still limited by the level of consciousness of the receiver, the anchor, the ground, the material, matriarchal system, the program here, the Mother Earth. So we are out of balance. So when they are channeling that energy, it's still heavily laced with the out of balanced masculine nature version of unconditional love, but it's not grounded. That's the thing. That energy, the new age, this is why the new age is not grounded. This is why you have so many people short circuiting in the new age, because they have this unconditional love and light and everything is just rainbows and gumdrops and everything, all that bullshit. Like, that is only half of your reality at best. Just like the scientism community is only half your reality at best. You are not grounded. You're not understanding of the earth that you walk around as. In fact, the new age goes as far as acting like this physical reality doesn't matter. It shouldn't exist, or something like maybe the Most High made a mistake or something like that. Like, so it's like villainizing, just like the scientism community villainizes the religious community. The new age community villainizes, I don't even know if that's a word, it is now, villainizes the physical reality and the ancestral connections by still adopting the heliocentric model of your and ancient indigenous aboriginal ancestors were all primitive and savage because a lot of them largely still believe in the monkey mind evolution theory, the Big Bang theory, the gravity theory, all this stuff. So the people before you from the soil are still nothing, and we are the most evolved beings of today. So this is why we are connecting with channelers. This is why we are connecting with extraterrestrials. This is why we are raising our vibrations to love and light. All of this is an extension of the illusion, and it's not grounded. This is why you have so many people short-circuiting and losing their shit, because there's nothing to link that. There's no roots there, so that you live in the clouds. You live in this artificial version of perceiving your reality, and then other people suffer for that shit. Other people are being forgotten about, and they just, poo-poo that aside and say, oh, well, those are those people. Those are those people having their experience and so on and so forth. It's garbage. It's straight up garbage. But since it has some connection to what unconditional love is, people can't let that go because they've never experienced anything like that before. And they don't know what that is or how that feels, because we've been in such a destructive experience for so long that if they let that go, then they're afraid that they will let go of their artificial power, which is still based upon tools. Like the new age itself basically is a tool. It's a tool for you to go from one space to back to yourself, the deeper layers of yourself. But it's so comfortable there, people just stay there. And that's where this entire system is hoping people will get. It's just, allowing people to fill that space, and then when they're ready to hit that switch, then they'll make it mainstream. Same thing happening with the flat earth, and this is what I'm seeing is coming to be with the flat earth going mainstream, and they're gonna activate it all at the same time. And this is why you're having all these people, the villains come out more in the open, and the systems be out more in the open, because if you have more of a dark system or a destructive system to see, then it's easy to see, the so-called superheroes. So this is why you have the so-called war on terrorism starting back in the 2000s, right after so-called Y2K. Then you had, leading up to that, you had all this the primitive and savage mentality of the so-called black people all the way through. It's like they're criminals, they're violent, they're this, they're that, and we need to take care of them. That's that white-splaining mentality of the environment or the society. And it's really that privileged sort of, entitled, arrogant approach that is existing in all the people who act like that. And they look at you like that. They look at other people like that. It's like, oh, how sad. Like watch those videos about what white-splaining actually is. It's not like something that I'm making up or something like that. It's an actual thing that exists in personalities. It's a thing that is it's not a little thing. It exists on a personal scale and it exists on a collective scale. And that shit is a disease. It really is a disease. And it manifests, it goes to the extremes, like I was saying. The extremes of that are like the scientism program up into the NASA program. And on the darker sides, into the New Age program, to where you create this entire community that's basing itself off of this version of the universe that is largely synthetic, or a synthetic perspective of it. And then on the darker sides of it, you have people like Bill Maher, who takes it to the extreme with just the way his personality is. And same thing with Brian Callen. that same kind of arrogant, entitled mentality is now influencing other people to think and act that same way. And then you see, like this image is showing you right now about Bill Maher. Bill Maher, he's been on the air for decades. Like, he's been promoting that style of thought and interaction with reality for decades. And like I was saying in all these other videos, it's not so much about what these people are saying, it's how they're saying it and why they're saying it. And the information is largely being shared through the subconscious. Once you get into the hows and the whys, outside of the what they're saying, which is like the understanding, once you get into the understanding and overstanding the hows and the whys of what's being said and why these people are out there to say something to you anyway. Like, who the fuck put you up there on that pedestal to say this shit? So these people are out there to subconsciously mind control you and install these programs that manifest into stuff like white-splaining and believing in the system. Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't. Like I said, it doesn't have to be, a so-called white person. Neil deGrasse Tyson is the most white-splaining person out there. Bill Nye and all these other people, Michio Kaku, Ray Kurzweil, all these people do the same shit. So it manifests to some dark ass shit, like Bill Maher going on HBO and condoning like adults having sex with children and having babies and relationships with children. Watch that video of that image I just showed you to see like how his arrogance, and this fucking guy is still on TV. Like, that's not a mistake. If anybody else look at what they're doing to Bill Cosby right now. And all of these are allegations on Bill Cosby. So this is what I was saying in reference to like how certain people can do certain things and other people can't do other things. Certain people are held up to a higher standard and other people are held down in this hole. And like I was saying in the video before last, the rich get richer and the poor get poor. And the people who are rich already, they take care of their friends and family. So they just keep everybody there and then keep other people down. This is that whole superiority privilege complex that people are still having difficulty with seeing, that this system still exists. I mean, it's not hard to see. You just have to look at it. Another example of this is on the lighter side of that. Like, that's a dark thing. That's in like Bill Maher going on television and saying like, this is perfectly okay. In fact, really, it's wrong. He gives that stupid, snarky, arrogant ass like, really, it's really wrong. You think that she raped that 14-year-old boy? Come on. Like, psychological control doesn't exist. Like, that's how he's approaching this whole thing. And he's on the satellite that like shoots that into everybody's mind to think and act a certain way. So this is how all this shit is going on with the gay agenda, with it's about the subconscious programming that is behind the scenes. So they defend themselves by getting you caught up in not even being able to talk about the gay agenda, not even be able to talk about like the media itself, because if you talk about the media and the people behind the media, they're going to call you an anti-Semite, because who owns all the media? So these are all these defense mechanisms that are in place to keep you from expanding upon this. You can't talk about technology or the heliocentric model or the university system, because people are going to say, well, don't you benefit from the system? Or don't you do this? And aren't you talking on technology right now? So all these are defense mechanisms that the people themselves actually keep afloat, because We don't know anything else. We get our power from that artificial story. We get our power, our personalities, our connections with who and what we are, who and what we were, and who and what we are to be in the so-called future is all based upon this artificial system. Whether you come from the new age system, the new age perspective, the university perspective, the mainstream perspective, the political perspective, whatever it is that you come from, all that shit is from the system itself. It's not from the essence, the sole essence of who and what you are. So really, who are you? Who are all these people that are flaunting around all this jewelry and all this money and all this like success in that system? You are still talking about a system that all these rappers that are showing you all these chains and all this money and all that shit, it's nothing. It's empty. It's completely empty. You are flaunting a system that not only doesn't give a shit about you, but it actually makes its money off of your family being destroyed. It gets its power off of not giving a shit about you, off of pretty much parasiting off of your existence. So people, every single buddy, I don't give a shit who it is, rappers, singers, whatever, celebrities, actors, I don't give a fuck what it is. When they're out there going to those award shows and flaunting all this shit, they are flaunting an artificial system, a synthetic reality. Oh, I got all this money. Look at all this I got. Look at all this change. Look at all this. All that is from basically Christopher Columbus. You're flaunting the Spanish conquistadors, the soaking out of the gold rush of California, soaking out of the gold all the way up, all through the Americas. This system doesn't give one shit about you, and it's being celebrated. Look at my chain, look at my gold. Like, you're basically saying, look at my George Washington, look at my Abraham Lincoln, look at my Benjamin Franklin, look at all this. It's ridiculous. There's no soul essence connection. There's no true power there. So like the Bill Maher was a darker note on the expansion of this, like NASA expanding the mind control program. A lighter note that a lot of people really don't see on a regular day and don't really want to talk about, that gives another example of it, is the leeway that people have and other people don't have. So like when you have Robin Williams talking to Craig Ferguson about cocaine usage, like being, like loosely using cocaine and all this other stuff. As much as I love Robin Williams and how quick he was and the stuff that he did, like I'm addressing the privilege that he actually had and was sharing in this example of that exists in individuals that other people could never talk about that shit. You'd be immediately cut off. If Bill Maher said what he said in that video about that woman having two babies with a 14-year-old boy, if he was black, or he'd be immediately cut off. And then he'd be thrown under so many buses that it's unreal. But he's been allowed to be online on the mainstream for decades after that, and expand all of those stupid, arrogant ass perspectives on HBO. Like, he got upgraded. So when people get promoted, other people get demoted and literally stomped into the ground. That's the difference between certain people and other people. And another example I keep getting sidetracked from is like Robin Williams and Craig Ferguson both do cocaine openly, drug addicts. Same thing with Russell Brand. Russell Brand was an actual he talks about his addiction constantly, but he's like welcomed in this. Like, other people like crackheads and all that stuff, or if you're not white, they ain't gonna listen to your ass. They gonna kick your ass out. Like, you're irrelevant. You're just a fucking crackhead. You're just a criminal. You're just a violent. You should be in jail. But if you're Robin Williams or Craig Ferguson or Russell Brand, you get a fucking TV show. You get invited onto. You get to talk about all this stuff. That's an actual intention there. It's a meaning there. It's a purpose. It keeps people up and keeps other people down, and they do it on various layers. Like I said, Robin Williams he was an amazing thinker and comedian. So they use that to sell. They use that info, and then when they're done with you, they just throw you out. So they burn you out, they kill you, or they do whatever it is, and then you're just done. So these are the different styles that keep people in a particular vibration that has nothing to do with the soul essence of who and what you are. When you wake up every morning, you have a soul power that isn't really at its essence relative to the way the physical reality is and the way the level of consciousness is today from everybody else. You have a connection with your higher self that is solely inside of you. You have a connection with the Most High, which is solely inside of you. There's connections between you and your blood, your family, and then your soul family on outside of that. So all of these are connections that we have that we don't even really tap into because we are so bombarded by the distractions of this artificial reality, whether it's from the destructive nature of the prison and military industrial complex of the colonial program of keeping people down, or the distractions of the new age look the other way community program of love and light, where you just act like this stuff doesn't exist. Everybody else is caught in somewhere in between, and the system hopes that people either get, go in the downward spiral or go in the upward spiral, but they never really get to balance out everything and activate the connection that we have with each other that will completely disintegrate the artificial power grid itself. So this is why you have so many different versions of reality that are not they're not based upon the soul. They're based upon this synthetic version of reality. So that's pretty much what I wanted to address with this video is the dream. So Westing. So the soul essence that you are when you wake up in the morning, you are still you when you're in your dreams. And like I was explaining to a friend the other day, it's like when you're grounding here, when you have a meaning and a purpose individually and collectively. We don't know what that is. In fact, we're being kept from understanding what that is, so we can invest all of our consciousness and our energy into the synthetic version of reality, the synthetic NASA, SpaceX universe. So, and these extraterrestrials and this technology and all this other bullshit that gets put in our faces, we invest all our energy in that because if you start looking into yourself, that's when you go into your infinite power grid, your space that can never be fucked with. So your dreams are a blip of that reality, and seeing yourself as a supercomputer, as an infinite computer. Basically every day how I'm seeing it is that your conscious reality is like your hard drive. You're adding to it constantly, and it's a solid state kind of hard drive. But you also have that's your ROM. Then you have your RAM. Your RAM drive is your subconscious reality that allows you to experience and pull from the hard drive and function in this experience. Like you can't have everything has RAM, which is the random access memory. So I'm seeing that as, or saying that as, the subconscious memory. The subconscious memory allows you to function. It allows you to perceive. It allows you to save crumbs of information and piece all of that stuff that you have saved on your hard drive together to create a picture. So it's like a different version of infinity. Your solid state ROM drive is who you are. So your body, you're in this body, and that's like a version of your solid state hard drive. But your RAM drive is infinite computing abilities, because it's constantly refreshing itself. It still has a memory, but it's refreshing itself in order to allow that space to experience this reality. So that's how I'm seeing what your dreams are. Your dreams are like your RAM drive, your random access memory that you can tap into, that allows you to perceive and experience realities that are everlasting. So when you make a connection with your dreams or your subconscious reality, you're actually expanding your ability to tap into your hard drive, which is your everything in the physical reality and beyond. It's like adding gigabytes to your RAM drive. So just like think about like the old computers. A lot of people's RAM drives today, and like tablets and even their phones, have gigabytes of memory in the RAM. You don't even have, like back in the day, computers didn't even have gigabytes of space on their ROM, like on their solid state. Like most solid hard drives have, like 500 gigabytes of space or a terabyte of space on your hard drive. Now, there are people that, like back in the day, it was like 156 megabytes or some shit like that, or something. It's something really like low and nothing. And RAM drive was like 16 megabytes of space, but now you have like gigabytes of space in RAM and terabytes of space in hard drives in the ROM. So this is how I'm seeing what the relationship of your conscious reality is with your subconscious reality, and how when you reconnect with your dreams, you're actually upgrading your RAM to a higher ability of being able to perceive your reality in the waking space and in your subconscious dream space. So you can get information, you can make connections, you're empowering yourself, you're adding more energy and everything, light, darkness, perceiving all of the light and all of the dark. You're adding all of that because you yourself are now able to process those images. You're able to process that information because now you have the memory to do that, the random access memory to do that. And then you can store it in your hard drive. You can store more in your hard drive. So as you upgrade your RAM drive, it will upgrade your hard drive. So your memories will come back. This is why people can remember things that happened back in the day. When they start to let go of all the densities, they start to clear out their hard drives of like all this garbage that has been downloaded by the mainstream reality, the dense ass reality that keeps people down. So now you have this random access memory that's up into like the 8 gigabyte space, to where you can pull information out from your dreams and you can reconnect with your ancestors and you can perceive more, you can heal, you can it adds more life to your reality. So I just wanted to share that perspective of the relationship of the conscious to the subconscious, the RAM to the ROM, and how we are distracted from that experience. Basically, the the masculine and the feminine, or the feminine and the masculine in reference to like the Ram and the Ram, and the subconscious and the subconscious reality. So it's basically like balancing out your relationships. Once you do that, you're tapping into your deeper layers of power and experience that can't be controlled. It can't be manipulated by the system, because your system is running on a new system. Like you're running on the soul system. You're not running on the physical reality illusory system. The New Age program, the mainstream media, these are all illusory systems. It's like Windows 98. It's this slow running garbage ass system that maintains an experience of lack of control, of destruction, and separation, and keeping certain people up and other people down, and like I was explaining in this entire video. So you have that understanding of reality, and when you upgrade your system, you're actually upgrading everybody's system, because there's no separation between everybody else. This is why certain information is trending and other information is not. And when you start to connect the dots of all of these systems and not get consumed by one, like flat earth, it's good information, but it's not the entire system. So for people who are talking about now how this entire system is going to go mainstream and all this other stuff, is that part of the system? Yes. Is it all of the system? Hell no, because it has to, the system itself has to expand based upon the level of consciousness of the people in order to maintain control over the people. So obviously, if flat earth is existing out there because the NASA program is an illusion and full of shit, then you have to know that's affecting the level of consciousness, and if the level of consciousness is being affected by the information, then the control grid will expand based upon the information that is out there. So yes, it will be adopted and expanded upon. And if we do not start to challenge the way this system, if we don't understand how this system is moving in the chess game, the 3-tiered chess game of the soul, the mind, and the body, if we don't understand how it's moving and it's going to expand itself, then we'll be locking ourselves or setting ourselves up into another trap. So yeah, for people who are like, there's a flat earth convention in November that's coming up. Yeah, that's cool. But for people who are going there and gonna go talk about whatever they're gonna talk about, please expand upon how this is just a part of a bigger picture, and expand upon the fact that this will be co-opted by that same system that created NASA. And this is about control. The heliocentric model is about control. It's not about, like, oh yeah, just because we found this information, this is cool, we're all on the same page. That's only part of the story. It's way more than that. And I can only relate it to, like, in the Occupy, to like what happened to me when I was in the Occupy movement at that time frame, fighting the system and all that other stuff. And like, yeah, this is it, man. We need to just yell at the bankers and yell at the system, and that'll be it. And that's all there is. But that's not all there is. That was at best the intellectual, psychological warfare. There's a spiritual warfare that I didn't even know existed. But at that time, that was my total reality. So flat earth is the same way, how I'm seeing it. It's basically just like the Occupy movement. It's based upon the psychological warfare, but it's not going into the spiritual warfare. Once you go into the spiritual warfare of understanding the reality, and it's easy to see with the flat earth model and the heliocentric deception, it's easy to see how this is a spiritual warfare, but yet still people are getting caught up in the fact, or the commercial perspectives of this, of just like, well, this is the only thing that needs to happen. If you keep playing checkers in a chess game, you'll get destroyed. And in fact, you'll set other people up to expand that storyline. So that's my little perspective on like the flat earth going mainstream and all that other stuff with the basketball players and all this. Yeah, like this is all cool, but what are you gonna... It's not everything. It's all in a box. And if we don't get out of that box, then you're just going to be expanding into or upgrading the box. So, yeah, I was going to talk about... So basically, this is like this artificial box is like the living death. It's when you are consumed by the artificial reality, you're basically and constantly waking up every morning. So when you wake up in the morning, that's like your sunrise. You have the ability to rise every morning. You're literally rising back into your body to do something. What is your soul supposed to do every day? That question doesn't even get asked or answered by the majority of people in this earth plane, because we've been subjected to this illusion and this Stockholm syndrome and this physical reality, the mind control program as a whole. We've been locked into this generic version of experiencing our reality, and we say that that's it. This is just, all we're supposed to do. But you have your soul essence. This is why dreams are so not even part of our reality. Because once you start tapping into dreams, you start tapping into the non-physical reality. And it's a challenge to the system. Like, it starts to remove the physical reality system. So every morning you wake up, you have a meaning and a purpose. You have the choice to tap into something greater, to do something from your soul. If you are your soul inhabiting a physical reality, then that means that you wake up in this physical reality to do something from the soul perspective. What is that? What is that, individually and collectively? Those questions don't get asked and answered. In fact, I don't want to get off on the tangent of the flat earth stuff again, going mainstream, but that's part of it. Like the physical reality, once the flat earth going mainstream is like waking up and then going into the physical reality perspective. It's still not going into the soul essence of who and what we are. I know eventually once we start talking about all this stuff, it'll get to there. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people are just going to be so happy that the flat earth goes mainstream that they're just not going to do anything else. And other people are going to follow those people who don't do anything else, who just accept the system for what it is because they are privileged in this system and they are happy the way it is. And shit will just maintain and stay the same way. And nothing will actually change. And people will be okay with that because all they want is the flat earth to go mainstream. They don't want to empower themselves or empower the system. Some of them largely because they don't really want to lose that privilege. that comes from the way this system is set up. Other people just don't know the depths of the system. And then some people just don't care. They just really don't give a shit. They just want this, and then that's it, because that's the level of their consciousness that they're at. But it's more than that. So you wake up every morning. You have a purpose and a meaning. Your soul comes back into, or your soul wakes back into this experience to do something. So that's like how I'm seeing your sun rise. And then I'm seeing like the easting and the westing in reference to like the Egyptians who didn't have a word for death. They called it westing. So when you understand that that's westing, that's like your sun setting or set. So going into the darkness, which is your next birth into whatever the next experience is. So that's a lighter version of understanding your death experience, your life and death. It's more natural to see it that way. This reality once is based upon fear and control and lack of understanding of our relationships to the non-physical. So they make you afraid of death. That's why all these movies are. This is what all the focusing only on the physical reality, worshiping the physical reality, because the more you focus and worship the physical reality, the more you are fearful of the non-physical reality. So this is why you have this separation between light and dark and so on and so forth, is because it amplifies ultimately the lower vibrations of fear and destruction, hatred, and guilt and grief and all that other stuff. It doesn't expand upon the soul relationship that we exist as. So back to it, and I'll end on this. When you wake up every morning, that's like your sunrise into the density, this darkness. This physical reality is darkness. Like when you're born in darkness. Solidified light is darkness, the darkness of the universe. And then you have your soul essence as the light, the experiencer. So the Ram and the Ram, the same shit. It's just another version of experiencing this reality. And then you have the universe itself that this experience exists in, and at, like what's outside of the bubble of the earth plane. You have the stars, the backdrop of the light that gives birth to this experience. So you have all this stuff that's been demonized on purpose, so you can focus in on only the ROM drive, the hard drive. The hard. Never go into the soul essence. You never know what infinity is, or how we our meaning and purpose every day. So we're afraid of it. And these celebrities and all this other stuff, they maintain that fear when they go on these talk shows and they call themselves getting into deep conversations about life and death and spirituality and all that stuff. It's still subconsciously laced with fear and lack of understanding, or lack of even questioning that reality. They don't even want to go into that stuff. And then that just gets amplified by people upon generations. So when you wake up in the morning, you are in your sunrise. That is your easting. Every day you're easting. You're waking up every day. I don't think the Egyptians call it. It's just life, how I'm seeing it. But in reference to westing, which is your death, your sunset, your transition, that's the other version of awakening. It's your other easting. You're easting into another, or rising into another experience. But from this experience, you're westing, and you only west once. You have one westing here because you have it rising every day. And the point is, why? Why are you rising every day? Why? From a soul essence. Your soul rises every day here. And in one day it's going to west. It will set. And it will rise somewhere else. So if we don't start understanding and questioning why we rise every day, then we'll be living dead. And that's what this system is based upon. This is what the heliocentric physical planets that are out there, the dead planets, that's what that shit is. If the planets, the alignments of the planets are affecting you and in you, and they're dead, they're just fucking dead, barren planets, then you're dead. The moon is dead. The sun is a big fiery ball of scary what the fuckness, and the universe is a vacuum full of death and just no air and no water, no nothing. The only people that can survive out there are Sandra Bullock and Bruce Willis and Tom Hanks and Will Smith and all these other people. It's a fucking illusion of death to maintain the fear of life, ultimately. If you don't understand death and you fear death, then you actually fear life. So that's basically what I wanted to share with this, is to expand upon how all of that is pieced together, and how it literally goes all the way up until your soul essence of why you're here, what we are experiencing, and how this system works to control those questions and manipulate the experience as a whole. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.